Hello everyone, welcome to ACE Online and welcome to Daily Current Affairs session. So we'll cover the current affairs of yesterday as well as today, right? June 30 as well as July 1st, that is today. These are the articles that we are going to cover today. First one from history, Santhal Hul. So this is from modern history, a tribal revolt. Let's see details about it. What is the reason? Who are the leaders? When it was occurred? So all those things we will see from this. Next one, Rim of Pacific exercise, RIMPAC, a very short article. It hardly takes 2 to 3 minutes. This is part of defense or international relations as well, because this exercise is not of India, but India is a participant, right? Then Chief of Army Staff, again defense. So defense news are becoming very important. Recently, civil services, UPSC has touched around 5 to 6 questions from defense. Usually in civil service, they used to not ask from defense, but this year they have asked around 5 to 6. And even in engineering service examination, ESC, as well as other exams, you will see a lot of defense news as well. Then Char, dham, yatra, this is from culture. Then comes International North-South Transport Corridor. This is again a very important. This is related to international relations. Then ways and means advances by RBI. So it has changed certain regulations. We will see what is actually WMA, then we will come to the regulations as well, right? So this is part of economy. This is part of economy. Then North Atlantic Treaty Organization, again international relations. So we have good number of articles from international relations. Then some factual pointers, important factual pointers are there. And then some practice questions. So these are all the articles that we are going to cover today. Very good evening, Srinath. Welcome to the session. So let's start with the first article. On June 30th, it marked the 169th anniversary of Santhal Hul. Santhal Hul means a rebellion, Santhal rebellion, right? So again as the British, right? So especially in the modern history, after the British rule, especially after they take over of this Bengal region, right, through Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar, they have implemented lot of policies, but most of the policies were exploitative nature. Eastern part of India, if you see, the Bengal region, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and even northern part of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, they are highly of forest regions and are resided by the local tribal people, right? So they have associated with this land and forest since thousands of years. They are actually the localers, right? But Britishers required lot of wood, lot of plantation that can be only collected from the forest, because to develop railways or some other infrastructure, they required these forest resources. That's why British policies were very aggressive against the tribal people there in that region, and it has led to the displacement of the tribes, right? It has affected their culture as well as socio-economic condition in those regions, because they have associated with this, right? Now this land was taken over by Britishers, and they have taken a lot of policies which were actually against the tribal livelihood. So in that background, there was one such rebellion. We have a number of rebellions in the modern history. We are not going to discuss them. Anyway, this is our context. So we are going to discuss about the Santhal Hul rebellion. So Santhals were the local tribes residing in the Jharkhand region. They are residing in the Jharkhand region. Within that Jharkhand region, there is a region called as Damin-e-Kohi region. A very, very important fact to be remembered. So they may ask you about this region and who are associated with this rebellion, or which tribes are associated with it. Within Jharkhand, tribals were residing at the one local place. So you can see here the reddish within Jharkhand, the northernmost Jharkhand region, present region. They were resided by the Santhals, right? So this was under Bengal presidency in 1832. We have 3 important presidencies: Bengal, then Madras presidency, and Bombay presidency during the British rule, right? They were promised this, the Santhals were promised for land settlement, even though after British policies that we required forest resources, but still we will be giving you with your land. We are not going to exploit in a larger manner. It is just the basics we will take, but you will be promised with the land, right? And then after that, they did not follow that. They did not follow. They have exploited in terms of all the conditions, in terms of land, in terms of forest, right, in terms of resources, in terms of slavery also. They were forced to do slavery also, because now they are not getting hunting and gathering and all, because Britishers has occupied it. So they were subjected to the forced labor as well as a slavery. So in all these conditions, they have raised against the Britishers, right? So this uprising began on June 30, 1855. This Santhal rebellion has began on June 30. So that's why we are discussing. Yesterday, there was an article, right? And these were led by Sidho Kanho Chand and Bhairav Murmu. These were the leaders. These were the ones first they have raised against the Britishers as well as local Jamindars, right? So they have done rebellion against the Britishers as well as the Zamindars. It is one of the earliest peasant uprising, even before 1857 revolt, right? One of the most popular one. Even before that, it has taken place. And what is the objective? Very direct, very simple. This is against Britishers and then against money lenders, right? So against Jamindars, to get back their land as well as the socio-economic condition. So that is the aim of this, right? So that is the aim, is that to fight against the local Jamindars as well as the Britishers, right? So that is the objective, to get back their land, to get back their forest areas, right? So to protect the economic, cultural and religious interest of those people, right? So that is the objective that they have raised against the Britishers, right? Now, course of the uprising. The course of uprising, they were actually inspired by one leader, Thakur Bonga. Even though they have started, it was started suppressing, the Britishers started suppressing, but again, Thakur Bonga has led. He himself said that I am the God, I have incarnated to fight against the Britishers, right? So this was started against the East Indian Company. So rebellion lasted for around 6 months. Immediately after that, Britishers started suppressing them, right? Britishers started suppressing them. They have fought, and many of the leaders, including Sidho Kanho Murmu, were executed, right? So they were executed, that means they were killed, right? So this was suppressed by the Britishers. But anyway, this has made realize the Britishers that this is a very difficult situation. If we keep on doing this, then rebellions might keep up coming. So that's why Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act was passed in 1876 by the Britishers, right? So the Britishers, Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act was passed, and according to this act, it will be protecting the Adivasi lands from the transfer. The Adivasi lands, the local tribal lands, will not be transferred to the non-Adivasi without any permission. So this act was passed and it was protected, right? So this is the outcome of this Santhal rebellion, right? Any doubts in this? Very good evening, Keshav. So this is what the outcome of this rebellion, right? So you need to know about the leaders, years, as well as other facts. What was the outcome of this rebellion? What was the final act that was passed? So all these things are also important, right? Where it occurred, those are all very important for us. Any doubts in this? Next article, Rim of Pacific Exercise, RIMPAC 2024. RIMPAC 2024. Very short article. The context is, from India, Indian naval ship Shivalik is taking part in the naval exercise in the Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor is located in USA, right? So this INS Shivalik is taking part of this naval exercise, okay? That is the context. Very few facts. RIMPAC is the world's largest maritime warfare exercise. That means it is not military or air force, it is a maritime. It takes place in the water, right? So this is a maritime exercise which is handled by the United States Navy, USA Navy. This is conducted by the USA Navy for every once in 2 years, right? For every once in 2 years, this has taken place. And what is the objective of this exercise? The aim is to build relations among the member countries in the Indo-Pacific region. In the Indo-Pacific region, they are aimed to enhance the relations between the countries. And India is also part of this exercise. China is not. China is not. Okay? China is not a member of this exercise, right? So this is a few facts about RIMPAC exercise. Fine? That is the second article. Any doubts in this? I hope there is no doubts from this particular, a very short article. Next, the third article, I hope you are following. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comment section, right? Next article, Chief of Army Staff. Chief of Army Staff, General Dwivedi assumes the charge as the 30th Chief Army Staff. General Dwivedi has assumed the charge of Chief of Army Staff, 30th Chief of Army Staff, right? So before his, he was appointed, there were 29 such members, right? So this is the context that we are taken this article. Now, Chief of Army Staff is the highest rank officer for the army, right? We have three, forces of our military, our armed forces, that is military for land borders, and then air force for, the air warfare, and then navy for water, right? So this Chief of Army Staff is the highest rank officer for the Indian Army, right? So he is the operational for working of the army. All the guidelines to the army is given by this Chief of Army Staff, right? That is, he is the highest power in the army, right? This is the context why we are taking this article. Now we need to know more about this. We need to know more about facts related to the Chief of Army Staff, right? So he is appointed by the President of India. He is appointed by the President of India, not others. So remember, he is appointed by the President of India, but is recommended by the Cabinet Committee, right? Cabinet Committee on Defense, so which is headed by the Prime Minister. In the end, indirectly, government is giving the direction, right? So in the end, government, that is Prime Minister headed by the Council of Ministers, are giving suggestion to the President, but in the end, the appointment is done by the President of India, right? So this is a very important fact. And they are appointed typically for 3 years. The term is 3 years or up to until their retirement age. So what is the retirement age? 60 years, right? Until 60 years is the age of any officer in India, right? So this is the age, but if he is appointed at the 58 years of age, then it will be only 2 years, right? So it will be only 2 years, fine? Whichever is the first that occurs, whether it is 3 years, but if his age is 58 and he is appointed at the time, it will be only 2 years, right? So whichever is earlier, so he will be have their particular span. So that is also important point. And the appointment is based on the seniority. Whoever is the senior most officer in the Indian Army, that person will be appointed mostly. I mean, this is not to be followed, but this is what we are following since many years. There is no discrepancy in this. Whoever is the senior most officer in the army, those person is appointed as a Chief of Army Staff. So this is also one important. So seniority is the condition for the appointment of this particular person, right? Next, he holds the 4-star rank and is member of the Chief of Staff Committee. There is a Chief of Staff Committee where the highest officers of Army, Navy and Air Force come together along with the Minister of Defense. They discusses and takes the decisions. So he is also the member of Chief of Staff Committee, right? And India's first Chief of Army Staff is K.M. Kariyappa, right? So Chief of Army Staff, the first Chief of Army Staff in India is K.M. Kariyappa. You can see also the picture, right? So he was appointed in 1949. All these facts are very, very important. Who appoints it, who appoints this person, and what is the significance of it. All these facts you need to remember. Appointment time period, the span of time period that he works with the army, all these things are important for us. Any doubts in this? So again a factual article. Next one, Char Dham Yatra. Char Dham Yatra. The context is massive avalanche, that means the glacier avalanche, the collapse has happened near Gandhi Sarovar, Kedarnath Dham. So there are 4 dham, we will see Char dham. Out of that, one is Kedar dham, and near to it there was a massive avalanche has happened on 5 a.m. Sunday, right? This is what the Hindu has reported. Now let's see what actually is a Char dham. Char dham is a pilgrimage circuit of 4 important pilgrimage sites that are Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri and Yamunotri. So these are the 4 places which are connected. So all the roadways, all these things has been connected through this Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri. So you need to remember from west to east, right, or east to west. You can remember either one. So from west to east, if you remember Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath and Badrinath, right? So it is a pilgrimage site for Hindus. So they feel that all the sins committed by in our life will be washed if we visit these places. Such a holy pilgrimage sites for the Hindus. And they are located in the Garhwal Himalaya ranges of Uttarakhand. A very, very important. Within Uttarakhand, we have a number of sub-Himalayan regions, right? Shivaliks and all. But these are located in the Garhwal Himalayas. So this is about the Char dham yatra. Now let's also know about the small features about Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath and Badrinath, right? So Yamunotri temple is dedicated to river Yamuna. Yamuna is also one of the tributaries of Ganga river, right? So it is situated again in the Garhwal region. All the four pilgrimage sites of Char dham yatra are located in the Yamunotri itself, Garhwal Himalayas itself. This is also one important fact. The goddess is river Yamuna. Next one, Gangotri. The temple is devoted to the river goddess Ganga or Ganges, right? So this is also one important fact. And then Kedarnath, this is devoted for Lord Shiva. It is one of the 12 main Jyotirlingas. There are total 12 Jyotirlingas dedicated for Lord Shiva in India, and this Kedarnath site is one of the Jyotirlingas. Next, Badrinath, this is dedicated to Lord Vishnu, right? We have in Hinduism majorly 2 sects are there, Vaishnavites and Shaivites, right? So Kedarnath is dedicated to Lord Shiva and Badrinath is dedicated to God Vishnu or Lord Vishnu, right? So all these facts again are important. Okay, any doubts? So factual in nature, you have to remember there is no concept as such in today's article. Mostly they are factual. You just need to remember, right? Next one, International North-South Transport Corridor. International North-South Transport Corridor. The context is recently Russia has sent 2 trains of coal to India via Iran. So there is already a international north-south transport corridor. We will see details about it. But yeah, context is they have sent a coal to India through this particular route, right? This was the first time that this route was used by Russia to send coal to the India. Of course, it has reached till Bandar Abbas port in Iran, and from there it will connect to the India through ship waterways, right? Till here there is a train and then there is a waterway. We will see about this. The context is this one, that Russia has sent a coal to India. Now observe this diagram or map. This is Mumbai, right? So this blue color one is the land and white color ones are the ocean. Don't confuse with this diagram. So here is Mumbai, right? Usually from Indian Ocean, whatever the ships towards Europe will reach towards this region. This is the conventional route, the popular route, Suez Canal. Here we have a Suez Canal and then we have Bab el-Mandab Strait, Red Sea and all. This is the one which actually 90% of our trade is happening through this route only, from Indian Ocean to the Europe. But because of various geopolitical reasons, you all know that many ships are being attacked in the Red Sea region, and then there is a Middle East volatility. Because of this, also many ships are congested in the Gulf of Suez. It is a very thin line, so not all the ships can travel in a free manner. That's why the countries together, India, Russia and some more Central Asian countries together, including the Europe countries, they have developed the multimodal transport. Multimodal transport means not just about waterway or roadway or railway, it is an integrated one. integrated one. Okay. So it can be, it is connected via waterways, and then from there we have railways, and then again we have roadways. So it is reaching towards the Europe, until Europe from the Indian Ocean region, right? So this is the international north-south corridor. So the objective is, why they have launched? To enhance the trade, to promote the trade among the Asia as well as Central Asia, and then the Europe. So that is the objective, to facilitate the trade between number of countries from South Asia, that is India only mainly, Russia, Iran and other Central Asia, including the Europe, right? The total stretch is approximately 7,200 kilometers, a very, very important fact. The total length of this corridor is around 7,200 kilometers, right, which includes ship, rail, road and all together interlinked, right? The total as of now, 13 countries are part of this agreement. Total 13 countries are part of this agreement, starting from India in the east, then Iran, China, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkey, Ukraine, Belarus, Oman and Syria. So mostly here we have Russia is also part of Europe as well as Asia, and then we have Turkey, which is also member of Europe, right? And then Ukraine also part of Europe, and we have Belarus also. So it is integrating Central Asia and then South Asia with the Europe as well. So these are the countries. Notable exclusions are USA is not part of this, right? China is not part of this. Pakistan is also not part of this. So these countries are popular for us, right? We are already having disputes, and USA is a friendly country. So these three countries you can remember, they are not part of this agreement. Very important one to be remembered, right? And the objective is to reduce the costs of trade, because we are choosing the alternate route. So that length will be decreased, right? And it will be safe. This lane is safe. We are excluding all this critical Middle East region and all. We are directly connected to the Central Asia and then Europe, right? It is safest. The costs are also saved, and we are also avoiding Suez Canal, which is potentially the busiest lanes. So all these are the objectives of this initiative. Any doubts in this? So very important to be remembered, high chances to ask the question from this particular section. Okay, let's move to the next article, that is ways and means advances. Ways and means advances. The context is Reserve Bank of India has increased the limit of borrowings by, it was earlier limit is 47,010 crore. Now it was enhanced to 60,118 crore. So you may be puzzled, what is this increase and all? We will come to the context again. Again we will come back to the context. Let's understand what actually is a ways and means advances. Then only you will be able to understand this data, right? So let's understand ways and means advances, and then we will come back to the this particular context, right? So ways and means advances means those loans are money given by RBI or granted by RBI to the central government or state governments. Usually central and state government's budget is in a deficit. So whatever we required, we don't have that money. So if government used to borrow from markets, right? Private markets or other post office savings, whatever may be, governments will bring from other markets. But that may not be available readily. Sometimes government required immediate money, right? Suddenly government required money. So where they will go? They will go to RBI. So RBI says that we will give money, but it will be short term. Within 3 months you have to pay back. We will give money with a very less amount of interest. We will be giving you, but within 3 months you need to pay back. So government will search for other markets in the 3 months. So it is like a help, or you can say temporary relief for the government to find out certain amount of money, right? So this is given by RBI to the governments, state governments as well as the central government, not given to the banks, right? So there are other things, repo rate, reverse repo rate and all, where the banks also can take, but this ways and means advances is given by RBI only to the governments, both state and central government, for a temporary period, right? So it is a bridge for temporary mismatches. And this provision was derived from section 17 provision 5 under RBI Act, not under the Banking Regulation Act, rather it is under the RBI Act 1934, right? So this is given under this particular provision, right? So it is a statutory one. This ways and means advances is a statutory one, that means mentioned in the Act itself, fine? So this is about that, and the interest rate is usually very small because it is just for 3 months, so they will take only very small amount of interest from the government, right? So this is also one important thing. Short term we have already discussed, and if the repayment is surpasses by 90 days, if governments did not pay back on right time, then it will be treated as a overdraft. That means they have crossed the limit, so there may be a fine also. There may be fine, either state governments or central governments, which may pay back, right? So this is about the ways and means advances. Is this clear about this concept? Can someone respond? Is this clear about ways and means advances? Nothing but the money given by RBI to the governments, right? In a short term, less than 3 months, with very less interest, to save them in a very immediate manner. Meanwhile, they can check the other markets. The governments can check other things from the markets, right? Now coming to the context, earlier it was limit is 47,010 crore. So the total amounts that central and state governments together bring is only 47,010 crore earlier. But now it was increased to 60,118 crore. 60,118 crore. This is the current limit. So you have to remember this figure. The current figure is 60,118 crore, right? So this is about the ways and means advances. Thank you, Srinath, for the response. Yeah. Now moving to the last article for today, that is North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. North Atlantic Treaty Organization. The context is Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Dutch Prime Minister, Dutch means Netherlands, right? Netherlands. Netherlands Prime Minister Mark Rutte will be taking over the new Secretary General of NATO. A very important fact, especially if you are writing the lower level of exams like SSC, CGL, right, railways and all, a very important fact to be remembered, right? Now let's know about NATO, because that was the main thing for us. It was formed after World War II. After World War II, even though Russia, USA, Britain were all together in the Allies forces against the Axis, against the Germany, but immediately after the Hitler's death and the collapse of Germany and then settlement of those World War II, the whole country, whole world has divided into two groups. One is led by democratic countries with the USA as the head, and the other one is Russia with the communist government. So they have divided into two blocks, right? So now USA was scared of Russia because Russia was also competing with the country. It is also highly industrialized. They have got all the defenses, they have worked over it, right? So now USA and Russia are competing each other. USA is a democracy and Russia is a communist country. So they were competing each other, and many of the countries has joined USA bloc, right? Democracy is always the better one. So we all know how and why it is better. So most of the countries has joined the USA bloc. So they have launched the alliance called as North Atlantic Treaty Organization. North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is a security alliance of 31 countries as of now. Actually 32. Now Sweden also joined. So as of now there are total 32 countries are there, and this NATO treaty is also called as Washington Treaty. NATO is also called as Washington Treaty because it was established through Washington Treaty, right? They have signed in the Washington. Fine. So it is a security alliance. It is not the economic or political alliance. It is a security alliance. And this headquarters is at Brussels, Belgium. Even European Union headquarters is also Brussels, right, in Belgium. The same headquarters is also located for NATO, right? So this is the thing. And what is the objective? The objective is to safeguard all the democratic countries which are part of this organization, right? So according to this agreement, if any of the other countries attack any one of this country out of this 32, it is taken as the attack on all the group, right? Even if it is attacking any one of the countries, according to this agreement, it is an attack on the whole group, right? So all the countries will come together and then they have attack or defense against those enemies, right? Even Ukraine was asking themselves to join into the NATO, but Ukraine is not part of this. Russia is against that, right? And Ukraine is keep on asking this NATO group to and allow to become part of this, right? So if Ukraine becomes part of this NATO, then Russia will be little bit scared to attack because it is taken as an attack on the whole group. All the NATO countries will rush to protect it, right? So this is about the significance of the NATO, right? Now the member countries, the most recent one is of Sweden. The most recent one which has joined is Sweden, 2024. Before that, Finland. So these are the recent countries which has joined. So total 32 countries are there which is part of NATO, right? So this is again important fact. So these are the articles. Now let's move to the factual pointers. Factual pointers from for the current affairs. India and Togo have recently revived their bilateral relations. India and Togo. So anyone know, do you know that Togo as a country existing? So yes, this is important as India has revived this. Togo, there is a country, there is a separate country you can see here. It is part of Africa, this one. This is part of West Africa. This is Togo, right? So which opens into the Gulf of Guinea. Gulf of Guinea in the West Africa, right? So this is the Atlantic Ocean. You can see here, this is the Atlantic Ocean, Togo, and yeah, capital is Lome. You can see here as well, right? So this is an important fact again. Next one, IMF has released a report titled Artificial Intelligence Preparedness Index. IMF has released this, a very important one, Artificial Intelligence Preparedness Index was released by the IMF, and the top country is Singapore and India's rank is 72nd. 72 is the rank of India and Singapore has topped the list. So this is calculated that how a country is ready to deploy artificial intelligence in their economy, right? So that's it has estimated and Singapore is ready to deploy this, right? So it has the top country and India is ranked at 72nd, right, among the countries. So these facts you can remember, that will be sufficient. Next one more report. World Trade Organization has released a report titled Aid for Trade in Action, Supporting the Transition to Clean Energy. So this report was released by the World Trade Organization. Now this report was part of Aid for Trade initiative by World Trade Organization. So they may ask you in the exam, Aid for Trade initiative is an initiative of what? Of which organization? It is World Trade Organization and it was an outcome of 2005 meet in Hong Kong. What is the objective? Why they have launched this? They want to encourage to promote the trade among the developing world. Among the developing world, they want to promote the trade, right? So that the global economy will interconnected and it encourages to do more business and run the economy, right? So this is the objective of this initiative. Next one, Kerala Forest Government along with the other organization, Kerala Paper Products Limited, they want to eliminate this Senna septabilis. Senna septabilis, you can see this is a plant. They don't want this because this has become invasive. Invasive means this is the ecosystem and this is some other ecosystem from other country. Some species, even though it is not local to this country or region, it will be deployed here for some other purpose, but because of this, other ecosystems or other species will be damaged. For example, pigeons are there. Pigeons are an invasive species. If they are grown at or if they occupy at one particular region, thousands of pigeons are produced. For every 2-3 months, they will produce pigeons, right? So that will affect the other bird species, right? So invasive species means if any non-local species occupy this ecosystem, that will affect the other species negatively. That is called as the invasive species, right? So this plant has become the invasive species. You have to remember the scientific name also because many times in the exams they have asked for what reason Senna septabilis was there in news, because it has become an invasive species in the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve and then other Kerala and Tamil Nadu regions, right? So that's why they want to take away this plant from this ecosystem. Last fact, National Statistics Day is celebrated on June 29th. National Statistics Day was celebrated every year on June 29th to remember the contribution of P.C. Mahalanobis. If you are a student who have completed the economy, you might be aware about the 5-year plans. In the second 5-year plan, we have moved away from agriculture and we aim to develop the industries, right? Trickle down approach. So if you encourage the industries and the growth, so other things will also encourage, or other things also will grow. That is the plan proposed by the P.C. Mahalanobis in the second 5-year plan, right? So he was one of the first person to bring the statistics related data to our Indian economy. That's why we are celebrating the National Statistic Day on June 29th every year to remember the contribution of P.C. Mahalanobis. And the theme of this year is use of data for decision making. Use of data for decision making is the theme of this year National Statistics Day, a very important fact. So these are all the important articles and facts which are relevant for our exams. Now let's see some practice questions. Some practice questions for today. First one, who were considered as a Diku in the context of Santhal Hul rebellion? So these were the names. So let's get back. So I think we haven't discussed, though I have given this. There are different regions or different names. Yes. Zamindars, local administrators were called as Darogas, and money lenders were called as the Dikus, right? So these terms are also very, very important for us. Many times it's been asked in the exam, right? So the question is, who were considered as a Diku in the context of Santhal Hul rebellion? Santhal Hul rebellion. British soldiers, Indian nationalists, upper caste landlords, local administrators and money lenders, tribal chiefs. The terms are very, very important, especially from history. So Dikus are upper caste landlords or money lenders, right? Yes, Srinath, correct. So that is about Dikus. Next one, which organization hosts RIMPAC 2024? You can add 2024 because that will become the current issue, right? So which organization hosts RIMPAC 2024? Correct, Keshav. Good. United Nations, NATO, United States Navy, European Union. So what is the answer for second question? It is not related to United Nations, so United Nations won't conduct any Navy military exercise and all, and also not European Union. It is conducted by United States Navy. Yes, Madhukar and Srinath has answered it as correct. Correct. Right, so it is conducted by United States Navy. So we have seen two factual questions. Now let's see some statement based questions which will ask in the higher level of exams. Consider the following statements regarding Chief of Army Staff in India. Chief of Army Staff, right? So shortcut COAS. He is appointed by President of India based on the recommendation of Cabinet Committee. That is the first statement. Second one, they are typically appointed for the tenure of 3 years or until the age of retirement, whichever is later, right? So this is the second statement. The third statement, the COAS is selected based on the merit and performance evaluations among the eligible lieutenant generals. So this is the third statement. So what is the answer? First statement is appointed by the president, correct, based on the cabinet committee recommendation. So first is correct. Second one, they are typically appointed for the tenure of 3 years and until age of retirement, whichever is later. Yeah. So this is also correct, right? So second statement is also correct. Next, CO, I think this is whichever is earlier. So you can take it as a whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier. Okay, so this may be a little bit confusing. So just eliminate this later. It is earlier. Is selected based on the merit and performance evaluations among the eligible lieutenant generals. No, it is based on the seniority. Seniority. Right? So answer is 1 and 2. Yes, some people have answered 1 and 3 because you may be confused that whichever is later. So fine, that is also correct. So 1 may be the answer. But in exam, remember, this petty changes will not give, right? They won't give this one, rather this becomes important, right? So answer is 1 and 2 among the options. Next question, consider the following statements regarding Char Dham Yatra in Uttarakhand. Char Dham Yatra in Uttarakhand. Char Dham refers to religious circuit covering the pilgrimage centers of Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri in the Garhwal Himalayas of Uttarakhand. So this is the first statement. So they have a lot of facts. You need to remember the 4 Char Dham Yatra and purpose and then Garhwal Himalaya. So that is the first statement. Second statement, all 4 temple shrines are dedicated to Lord Shiva. So all these 4 temple shrines are dedicated to the Lord Shiva. So which statements among these are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. So first statement is correct. It is in Garhwal Himalayas and then 4 this Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri, this is also called correct and religious purpose. Not all temples are dedicated to Lord Shiva. Badrinath is dedicated to Lord Vishnu, right? And then Yamunotri dedicated for goddess Yamuna and Gangotri for goddess Ganga. Only Kedarnath is dedicated for Lord Shiva. So second statement is wrong and hence answer is A. Correct. Madhukar, Anjita, Srinath and Keshav has answered it as correct. Last question for today. What is the primary purpose of ways and means advances provided by RBI? So here is option 1. So please take care. What is the main purpose of ways and means advances? First option, long-term investment in infrastructure. Second one, bridging temporary mismatches in government receipts and expenditure. So that is the second statement. Financing large-scale projects, promoting foreign trade. So what is the purpose of ways and means advances? What is the purpose of ways and means advances? Long-term investment in infrastructure. No, this is not the purpose why ways and means advances are given by RBI to the government. Bridging temporary mismatches in government receipts and expenditure. Yes. So this is the purpose. So this 2 also wrong. Right. So that is about today's session. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Have a great evening. Happy studies. Thank you.